The Miata's been around for 25 years now. The Miata really is the most pure, elemental, simple, straightforward sports car you can get.
Second and third generation, they're kind of evolutions of the one before. The fourth generation is so radically aesthetically different in terms of just look at the design. It's shockingly beautiful. Major improvement of the MX-5 is the weight reduction. In terms of reducing weight for the MX-5, we basically have a strategy called the gram strategy. The gram strategy says look at everything on the car.
Today is an important test for the new Mazda MX-5 Miata. For more than 2 decades, we've pushed the limits of engineering by creating all our MX-5s with near-perfect 50-50 balance, front to rear. And that's with a driver behind the wheel. To put our money where our mouth is, we constructed this steel fulcrum balance structure. Our driver will roll out the MX-5 to dead center. The platform is extremely sensitive. Even the slightest weight fluctuation can throw it off. If we've done our job, the MX-5 will hold perfectly level without being the least bit out of balance.
Having the weight distribution 50-50 makes the car behave more predictably and more consistently. Weight is the single most important factor in developing this car. When you're trying to make a car perform well, you can do it with brute force, with lots of power and big tires, or you can go completely the opposite way and reduce the amount of work that the car has to do to respond to the driver's inputs by making it lighter.
Mazda has attempted to recreate a classic in an entirely new form, improving its performance without jeopardizing its original concept as a true roadster.
There are so many cars now that are about point A to point B transportation, and the MX-5 is really a driving car. There's a real freedom and enjoyment driving a roadster like the MX-5. It's a unique driving experience. It's an authentic driving experience.
But will the latest version live up to its predecessors? Does the new MX-5 have the same legendary precision?
To be able to get into this piece of artwork and climb into it and suddenly have this power to go anywhere and do anything, there's just a fundamental freedom to that that's so amazing.
And we believe that building a car that's as pure as the MX-5 represents who we are. And it's something that is kind of the compass that guides the production of all of our other products. And for Mazda, driving does matter. Driving a car like this matters, and making cars like this matters.
Well, here it is, guys. So, never before in the history of this car has the jump from generation to generation been so profound as it is with this car. And I'd like to just point out some key aspects that have made that possible. As you can see, the car is clearly wider and lower than today's car. We've managed to get the hood of the car impossibly low, which is so important for that classic roadster feeling. You can see we've brought the nose all the way down and given the car a lot more confidence and attitude this time around. That's something we really got from you, the enthusiast, that you wanted to see that in the car, but still be that Mazda face, still tie in to the Kodo generation of vehicles. If you come around the side here, you'll see that we've pulled this very dramatic fender line and A-post all the way back, again, giving that cab rearward feeling. And we've blacked out the A-post and mirrors. Again, that creates a drama and makes it a lot more contemporary, I feel. Very low dip at the belt line, giving you that open feeling, good visibility when you're driving. And then all the power and strength comes through this hip area and puts the power on the rear wheel, giving them that classic FR proportion. Around the back, very dramatic taper. It pulls all the way into the taillights, and that really accentuates these very wide rear fenders. Lastly, the interior. This is an interior like no other MX-5 before. We really wanted to get a much more aspirational, high-quality feeling. So there's tremendous attention to detail, fit and finish, bright work, but all the while being completely symmetrical and driver focused so you can really experience the purity of the driving of this car. So Needless to say, this was a global effort. This is a combination of my team in California, our colleagues in Europe, as well as, of course, our amazing, talented team in Japan. It's really a global effort, and I have to say, I'm truly, truly proud of this result, and I hope you guys are as well. While I've got you guys as a captive audience, I just wanted to cover a few more key points on the car and just go through a little bit deeper description than I could do earlier on. One of the things I wanted to cover is a little bit the process we went through with this car. And it goes all the way back to 2.5, 3 years ago, believe it or not. And that's where we really started to ask the serious questions as what this car needed to be. What did it need to become to be successful going into the future and kind of keep the spirit of the MX-5 alive? And we thought the natural thing to do was to go out and talk in detail to enthusiasts. And me and my team, we would come up here annually to Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. We'd spend time with the enthusiast groups for the big get-togethers. We'd talk to them, we'd hear their feedback, and even simple things like Cars and Coffee, which takes place in our own parking lot at headquarters in Irvine every weekend. You know, we'd go out there. We did this a couple times early on. We'd go out there. I took a few of my SEMA cars that we did on NC. We'd take those out there, video camera, microphone, and ask the simple questions like, A, what do you think of the MX-5? B, if you could have anything on the new one, what would it be? And so we were getting a lot of great feedback. We were sharing that feedback with Japan, of course, which is very important. A lot of it was confirmation of what we kind of felt in our gut, what the car needed to become. Some of it was new. A lot of it was about making the car more contemporary, making the car more aggressive in nature or more sporty in nature. We got a lot of feedback on the interior of the car. People really wanted to see a more aspirational interior, a car that felt more precious in its materials. So we really took that feedback to heart and tried to bring that into this car. The car you see here today is a fully running vehicle, and I'd like to go over a few more points. I know I talked earlier about the car, but I'd like to go in a little bit more detail. In the same kind of order, starting with the front of the car, you know, I mentioned the car is ever so slightly wider, but more important, it is lower without compromising interior space at all. And we've managed to get the hood of the car just impossibly low, in my opinion. And it's hard to tell probably from where you guys are at. You'll have a chance later on to see another car outside at normal height. But we've managed to get the engine really low in the car, and that's allowed us to get the hood lower. We also have additional technologies in place to help us with, of course, the most difficult part, which is the pedestrian impact legislation. So, but this is such a key element to the car because the car looks so low slung on the road and in person, and we really wanted to get that feeling like the car was really sucked down to the road. I talked about earlier bringing the mouth of the car much lower and making the mouth a lot more intense and confident. That's obviously something we set in motion with the rest of the Kodo lineup, but we resisted, and there were many versions of this, we resisted the application of the winged trim that's been so prominent on Mazda 3, CX-5, Mazda 6. We resisted that because someone got the car dirty. We resisted that because we just felt like it needed to be pure. That degree of chrome had no place on a car so pure as this. So we went back to a more traditional mouth shape, but obviously a lot more sporty and intense and aggressive. The next thing I want to point out, all the cars will come with full LED headlighting and fully LED daylight running and fog lamp signature. This is important because you can see that the lighting size is impossibly slim, and that's again a key part of giving the car the character and making it a little bit of an exaggeration of the rest of our lineup. and really tying in a lot to the original car. I know the original car had pop-up lamps, but if you remember the little oval, you know, which was probably similar in size for the indicator, really was part of the character of the car, and I think that was so very important to the signature of the original car, and we really wanted to get back to that. In terms of coda design and the surfacing, so much of this ties in with the volumes, the tension of these surfaces, very taut, very lean, trying to keep the car from being too puffy. I think that is a big part of what makes the car so contemporary. I talked earlier about the prominent fender. This really sets up the entire car. It kind of has its peak in this area and then shoots down really sheer and then shoots down all the way back to the rear fender. Really important detail. I talked about the header being in black. All the cars will come like this, and we really started this trend with the SEMA cars that we did, where we found by painting this out black, it reduced the height of the car. It made the cabin of the car look farther rearward, giving it even more of that classic roadster proportion, and just looked contemporary and cool. And so it kind of stuck with us all the way through the program, and I'm so happy about that. I talked about the low belt line. This kind of accentuates the high front fender and then kind of bottoms out in this area and then peaks up around the rear fender. You'll notice that essentially the body side of the car has no lines on it. And this is really, really important because I think to respect the original car and try to do a modern vehicle that has a timeless quality, we needed to keep the car very simple and very clean and very pure. So there's really no line work, but what you probably don't see in here, but you'll see outside and later on as you view the car, there's a tremendous work that went into the volumes of the surfaces, controlling the highlights through here, and then as you come through the back of the car, the highlights fall, and then there's a really interesting, we call it kind of a hip line here, tension line here, that creates tension, draws your eye to the peak of the rear fender, and then scallops out to give that energy into the rear fender. Really, really important detail, and I think a totally original aspect of this car, and a real departure from the prior generation vehicles. But again, classic silhouette from the side view, but with a completely contemporary feeling. Coming around the back of the car, I mentioned earlier that the taper. This was something that we worked a lot on and had a lot of different variations of the rear of the car. The car, you'll see, has this very dramatic top view. And what I mean by that is the volume of the car really pulls in, the taillights are really far inboard, just kind of a few feet apart. And that really is a dramatic view from the back of the car. And the reason we did that was really to accentuate the rear fenders and give this sense of a rear wheel drive or FR proportion, put all the energy towards the back of the car, and also keeps the car looking very slim. The other thing was the reinterpretation of the classic taillight. You know, obviously the original car had that great pill shape with the round light planted in the inboard part. We wanted to kind of recreate that but not do it literally, and a lot of energy went into the detailing and filigree of the taillight and this very simple kind of blade shape on the outside. Again, creating a sense of width, but also a little bit of heritage tied in with it. The last big point is really the interior, and unfortunately you can't get a good view from up here. And like I said, we'll look at this downstairs with the other vehicle. But I mentioned we really wanted to get a more aspirational feeling to the interior. Let me come around here. You know, starting with the seating position, the whole interior is really set up with this idea of symmetry. Very compact binnacle. If you remember the NA, the original car, had that really nice little oval binnacle, really compact, fit in the compact steering wheel. We tried to recreate that sense of proportion with the prominent tachometer in the middle, 3-gauge setup, very compact, and then this idea of perfect symmetry where we have the cylindrical air vents directly on either side. So this was really, again, kind of a labor of love from our interior designer, Julian Montese, to set up the interior this way, keep it very compact, and keep it driver focused, quite frankly. And all the while putting tremendous detail into the trim, the graining of the interior, and really trying to elevate it, trying to get into an area and feeling of a more premium, sophisticated kind of sports car, and what people just simply didn't expect, I think, in this segment. So very, very important. Secondary is the very prominent center console. We wanted the console to be high, and we wanted to keep that compact, low-profile shifter feeling, which is obviously a major attribute of MX-5, and keeping it very clearly kind of shrunk wrapped to the transmission tunnel. Again, very important. And then lastly, keeping this horizontal line, this treatment of the horizontal line, and making just like we kept the hood really, really low, we tried to keep the dash impossibly slim, but still meeting all the key legislation. And that's that idea of lightness in the interior. We didn't want to have this compact, sporty car with this big, bulky interior. So when you do get a chance to sit in this car, you'll see how lightweight the car feels. Actually, there's one more key point, and that's bringing the body color of the exterior into the interior. This also, we worked very hard to get that feeling of Kodo surfacing, the idea that the top surface twists around to the side surface and really relates directly to the kind of form language we have on the exterior, and that will be color-coded depending on, obviously, the color of the car in key trim levels. So that was another big breakthrough for us. I mentioned it earlier, but the material quality on this, I personally believe is a completely new benchmark for us here at Mazda.